Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Sumit from Backbench Coder. I make videos on web development and web designing, so if it sounds interesting, please consider subscribing the channel. Okay, so in this video we'll be making hacker typer clone. So if you don't know about this website, let me show you what it is. You go to this URL hackertyper.net. Well, it's a simple site but quite interesting. You type anything and a very complicated snippet of C code streams onto the screen at a blistering pace. So let me show you. If I type anything, look at this is access denied, and if I press escape, now I can't type anything until I press the escape. Now again, look at this, again access denied. So it's quite interesting, a very accurate parody of what most of the world seems to think of what hackers look like. And we are going to do this using CSS, HTML and vanilla JavaScript. So let's see how we can approach this problem. What should be the general steps to make this website? Okay, so just a second. So these are some of the steps we will follow to make this clone. So the first step is design the layout using HTML and CSS. There's nothing very complicated layout here, just a simple container, simple div, and then this is a paragraph. This is not a text field, guys. This is just a paragraph where I am changing the text content using JavaScript. We will see that later. And then the second step is load the code.txt file. So basically this is a dummy C code. I am not typing any code. This code is generated every time I press any key on my keyboard. So basically this is a dummy code file that is loaded in the browser using JavaScript, and then print a snippet from the file for every keystroke. Okay, that is cool. So if I type anything, look at this, every time it generates 3 additional characters. So that's the main trick of this app. And then show access message in an interval after every 300 characters or 600 characters. So if I type anything, look at this, access denied, and now press escape to remove the message. Now again access denied. So I'm talking about that message. And then the last step is oh, that's all, you are a hacker. Okay, so hack using HTML, we are going to implement that joke. Nice. So let's create a project directory. So let's first create the project directory. This is mkdir, name is hacker typer clone. Nice. And then change directory to hacker typer clone. Then open this in your code editor. Now create the necessary files, which is index.html, then style.css, our CSS file, and then the JavaScript file, which is script.js. Cool. So go to index.html. Now get the basic boilerplate of HTML. I'll be using Emmet throughout this project. So if you don't know about Emmet, it's a nice little extension to speed up your HTML workflow. So definitely check this out. I'll link the CSS file, which is link CSS and style.css. This is cool. And then link the JavaScript file, which is script src. The file name is /script.js. Cool. Now create the basic design. If I go to our finished project, now guys, it seems like it's a text area or input field, but this is actually a paragraph, or you can also use a div. I'm just changing the text content of this element. And then if you keep typing, there is this message which is access denied or access granted, something like this. So let's create the basic HTML. First of all, so has container, it will give me a div with a id container. So I am using Emmet here, so I don't need to write the whole snippet. And then I need a paragraph with a id source. So you are see source. Okay, and here I have not used div has container because by default Emmet gives you a div. Then I want a div with the id access message. So div has access message, and I'll also add a class which is dnone. So by default this will be display none. Oops. Okay, display none. And that's all our HTML. So go to style.css and let's design this. And guys, if you are using VS Code, you can run the live server, which is just right click and open with live server, so that you don't need to reload your page every time you modify your code. So it's opened in my local host, and let's move to code. Go to CSS file. So first of all, just add a background to the body which is black. So background color black. Okay, change the font family to monospace. It looks kind of hacker type font family. Okay, and then remove the default margin, so margin 0, and also add a height of 100 viewport height, so it gets the full screen. Cool. Let's see. Look at this. Nice. Let's design the container. So has container. Has container. Nice. What I want here, I want basically a width of 100% and then a height of 100%. Oops. Okay, height of 100%. And then just design this source, which is our main text area. Like it seems like a text area, but it's not. Has source. What I want here, I want to add a color of kind of light green, so this color is 2AD400. Then I want to change the font size to 15 pixel, font weight to bold. That's it for the source. And then this access message, so right now let's write access granted, so that we can style this access granted, and then just copy the ID so that there is no typo. Cool. Has access message. Nice. Just a second. Okay, so we can see this better. So font size 3 rem, so that it gets a bigger font. Then text align center, so this align center horizontally, and then I want a border of 2 pixel solid, and then I want it at the center of the screen. So to get it vertically and horizontally center of the screen, I'll be using position absolute. And then from top, this is 50%. Oops. From left, this is 50%. Just a second, why I can't see this message? Cause this is in black, so just change the color red. Now look at this, this is not actually at the center, so I can use a transform translate -50% and then -50% from left and right. So look at this, just give it a small padding, so padding 1.5 rem. Cool. Access granted with a red color. Wow. And then if you have noticed, I have also added a extra class name which is dnone. So I want this message to be hidden by default, so dot dnone add a display none. Display none. Nice. And now we have two types of access messages, right? One is red, I mean access denied, and access granted. So if I press escape and then write again, write access denied, which is a failure message or denied message, and then this is in green color, which is access granted, so this is a success message, right? So let's add two extra class, and we will be dynamically add this using JavaScript. Just add another class name which is dot success, and I want a color of light green, which is 10ff00. Cool. I want to have a display block, cause by default this is display none. That's it. And then just copy this and add another class which is denied. Can you see this? Okay, so add another class which is denied, and then the color is red. Nice. So that's all our CSS. We will add an animation, but that's it for now. Cool. So if I go to our current project, I have simply a blank screen. That's it. Cool. Okay, so in our script.js, where all the magic happens. Nice. So let's have a look what are the steps again. So the second step is load the code.txt file, which is our dummy code file which contains all the C code. Now how can we load a text file in our JavaScript app? We will be using Exchanger, which is XML HTTP request, which is a part of Ajax. So let's create an Exchanger request. First of all, create a function, name it load source code, and then let's create an Exchanger request object. So let's name it request, and then new XML HTTP request. Nice. Then initialize this request using open method. So request dot open. What kind of request? This is simply get, and then the path of our text file. So this is code.txt, and right now I don't have the text file, so let's add this text file. So this is my code.txt file which contains all the dummy codes which will make me a hacker. So that's it. I've added the path, and now when the file is loaded, so request dot on ready state change. So when this file is loaded, what I want to fire a function which will add the response, get the response first, request dot response text. Okay, and I will put this in a variable, in a global variable. So let's create a variable, let's name it source text or source code, just an empty string, or you can put a null, and then source code. That's all. And now fire this request. So execute this request using request.send. Nice. Let's log this, console.log source code, and always remember we have to call the function. So load source code. Let's see. If I go to my browser, it should load my source code. If I go to console, wow, there is no source code. So if I go to source code, look at this. So why this is happening? Because this is an asynchronous request, so that's why. So basically when this line is executed, this function is still running. So to log this out, we can use the console log inside this request dot on ready state change method. So now refresh this, look at this. Yeah, cool. So that's the first step to become a hacker. Let's see the second step, but before that I want to make an initialize function. So let's make a function which is init, and just call load source code, and I also want these elements, this source, container, then an access message, this all the elements using JavaScript, right? So that we can modify this later. So let's create three variable, var name it source container for the container, and then source element, and the third one is access message element. Nice. And remove this call because I have called this inside init method, and then create another function which is get elements, and what I want here, I want to get all these three elements. So source container is equal to document dot get element by id, and the id, just copy the id, container. Nice. Okay, so I got the source container, and then just copy this. I want the source paragraph, source, and also put this in source element. I could have named this source paragraph, that would be better. So anyway, and then the last one is, okay, just a second, just copy this, again, and the last one is access message. Okay, access message, just put this inside access message element. That's it. And just call this function inside this init method. So get elements, init means initialization method, so just call this init method. Okay, it's still the same. Nice. Let's look at the second step. So the third step is print a snippet from the file for every keystroke. So basically we need to add an event listener for every keystroke. Okay, cool. So we need to detect the keyboard stroke, right? So when the user press any key, we need to basically update the screen. So there is a nice little event listener which is window dot on key down, and when this event is occurred, I want to trigger a function which is take the event object and then trigger a function. Let's name this update screen. Update underscore screen. Cool. So let's create the function const update screen and an arrow function. Cool. Hey, where is my arrow, bro? Arrow, bro. Cool. Screen. No, it's screen. Okay, so let's first see if it can detect or not. So console.log key. Message is key. So let's go to our console. Type something. Oh, look at this. So if I press, it is key. Now let's define the logic. So this is my source code. What I want, every time I press a key, it should get a substring from this source code and prints this, or basically change the text content of the source paragraph. So this paragraph right here, I need to change the text content of this. So right now there is nothing here, so that's why this is a blank screen. So first of all, create two variables, which is a start index and end index. So var start index, so that we can get the substring start index which starts with 0, and then var end index which also start with 0. Nice. And how many characters you want on every keystroke? I want, let's make it a constant and name this cards per stroke. Okay, so I'll be using 5, and the hacker typer, original hacker typer uses 3, so I'll be using 5. Now in the update screen, let's add this, update the end index plus equal to, so currently this is 0, and now end index plus equal to cards per stroke, and then I need to get the substring. So this is the source code inside this source code variable. So source code dot the JavaScript method which is substring, and here you need to put the start index and the end index, and now update the text content of the source element. So remember, this source element contains our source paragraph. So source element dot text content is equal to this. Let's see. So if I press any key, look at this, it adds the 5 new characters in the screen. Cool. But look at this, there is a problem, which is it does not wrap the line break. So just go to style.css and in the source use white space, not no wrap, it should be pre-wrap. It should work, it should get the line break. Look at this. It looks like a hacker, man. Nice. And now what we want to add the message after a certain interval, and if the message is on the screen, I can't type anything until I press the escape. So let's define the logic. Let's go to a JavaScript file, and how can I do that? Okay, so basically we need a boolean value which will lock our state. So const locked, by default this is false, so this is running. And what I want, in the update screen I will check if the state is locked or not. So if this is not locked, then I will run all this code. Okay, just a second, why am I doing this? Now what I want basically after 300 characters, or after every 300 characters, it shows a access denied message, and then after 750 characters it shows a access granted message. So let's do that. How can I do this? I just make a little comment which is update access message, and this is update source code. Okay, so update access message. I will check if the end index is not equal to 0 and oops, it's not and it's Python and bro, and then I will check if the end index mod 300 is equal to 0 or not. If it is 0, it means I need to show a text message. Okay, basically I need to change the text content of this access message, right? Access message. So go to a JavaScript file. I got that element, remember, at the top, access message element. So access message element, where am I here? Access message element dot text content is equal to what? Access denied, the fake hacker. And then I also want to add a class name which is access message dot class list dot add denied. Remember this denied class, I have added this in my CSS file, and I also need to add a success message. So if the end index is not equal to 0, because remember 0 mod 300 is 0, so it will always show the message. We don't want that. And after every 750 characters, so end index mod 750 if is equal to 0, by the way use 3 equal to. If you want to check the data type, we'll need to use 3 equal sign. Okay, so now what I will do, I'll just copy this. Again, you could have created another function, but that's fine. So now access granted, and the class name is success. Okay, and now if this message is shown, I need to log the state, right? So locked is equal to true, and again here locked is equal to true. Cool, let's see, it should work. It should work. If I type 300 characters, access denied, but I can still type. Hey, I should have locked the state. If I go to lock, this is still locked. By default this is false, right? So hey, just a second, this should be very var. I can't modify the variable after I define this as a const, so it should be var. Now it should work. So if I type 300 characters, access denied, now I can't type anything. Okay, nice. So now if I press escape, it should remove the message and change the locked variable to false again, right? Okay, so let's do that. First of all, we need to detect if it is a escape variable or not. So if e dot key is equal to escape, then I'll call a function which is remove message, else this update screen, not slave bro, it's else. So let's create this function which is remove message, const remove message. Nice. So first of all, change the lock to false again, and then remove the class names of these access message elements. So if I remove the class name, remember, if I remove the class name, this is display block. So if I remove this, will be again d none, which is display none. So basically we can remove the message. So now access message element dot remove attribute class. Cool. And guys, if you have noticed, in the final version that is this blur effect, right? So that it focus on this message access granted or access denied. So to add the blurred effect, what I can do, I can create another class name dot blurred, basically use the filter property of CSS and blur of 0.8 pixel, and then I can add this using JavaScript to this container, right? So go to script.js. first of all, inside this, when this is access denied or access granted, I'll add a blurred class. So the container is source container. This source container, go to source container dot class list dot add, my class name is blurred. Just copy this, and again when this is access granted, I'll add this class name which is blurred, and then in the remove message I'll remove the class name. So just copy this source container and source container dot remove attribute class. So basically it removes all the classes of that element. Okay, so it should work. Let's see. Just refresh this. Now if I type 300 characters, access denied, I can't type anything, but if I press escape, hey, the state is reset. But what about this message? It should have displayed none. I removed all the classes of this access message element, and in the access message element I have removed all the classes, so this also removed the display none, so d none class. So if I go to style.css, d non display none, it's also removed this class. I could have added this in our access message, but in that case the ID has a higher priority, so it creates some problem, and I don't also want this color here. Okay, so how can I handle this? If I go to script.js, first of all remove all the class, and then access message element dot class list dot add the class name which is dnone. It should work. And if I type 300 characters, access denied, escape, nice. If I type 300 characters again, access denied, now it should show access granted. Wow, hacker man. And now to hide this scroll bar and add some blinking effect on this message, we can use an animation. And first of all, just on this container, this add overflow y to auto, so it will remove the scroll bar. Nice. And then add a nice keyframe, so at the rate keyframes, name this animation blinks. On 0% I want opacity to 1. At 50% I want opacity to 0, and 100% I want opacity 1. And then add this animation. So in the success message animation, the name of my animation is blink, duration 0.5 second. Then how many times you want this? 3 times. Nice. Delay 0 second, and the animation motion linear. And also add this add denied. Let's see. Look at this. So if I go to 300 characters, if I type 300 characters, look at this. Cool. The only thing is missing here is a cursor which shows you can type. So what I mean by that, basically go to your script.js, add a variable which is var cursor character or cursor. Okay, just add this character, and then in the update screen I want to update my cursor. So just add a comment, update cursor, and then source element dot text content, basically append this character cursor, and also add this at the starting of the program. So in the init function, add this cursor. So what I mean by that, this little character which shows that you can type. So now this is ready. So if I type 300 characters, access denied bro, you should work hard. Type more character, access denied again, work harder, access granted, hacker man. So that's all for this video. I'll put the GitHub link and the code.txt file in the description box. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you are interested in web development and web designing, please hit the subscribe button. That's all. Bye.